What's going on, YouTube? Reinbacher from Dopamon again. Welcome to round 2 of Dopamon's mock draft. We love doing these each and every year. Alex, unfortunately, could not join us for this video because he's mad busy. So I'm just going to roll through this video solo. If you want to see our complete first round mock drafts, both mine and Alex's, feel free to check that out on the channel. And like and subscribe, of course, if you like this kind of content here. This below us here is my mock draft from the first round. Came out yesterday, full video, full scouting analysis, everything on these players will be there. The NHL Entry Draft first round is set to proceed on Wednesday, June 28th at roughly 7 p.m. Eastern Time and will continue into Thursday, starting at around 11 a.m. You can join us here on the channel. We will be streaming and hanging out, watching the draft, getting the results live, critiquing the picks on both days, talking hockey, so come hang out and join us. Without further ado, we'll jump right into it. We have Anaheim here picking at 33, and I have them picking Grayson Sawshin. Grayson Sawshin, centerman for the Seattle Thunderbirds this year. He's 5'11", 165. He had 58 points in 58 games this year for Seattle Thunderbirds. He goes hard after pucks, wins a lot of puck battles. Elite Prospects is in love with him. Shout out to those guys over there. Their personal rankings, I think they have him all the way up at like 13. I'm a little bit more conservative here with this at 33. But yeah, he's definitely borderline first rounder for me. There's a lot of guys in this 33 to about 45 range that could sneak into the first round because this year is so stacked with talent. And the top half of the second round is you're going to be getting a lot of first-round talents. Grady Sawchin here is first. At 34, we have Columbus selecting Bradley Nadeau, centerman from the Penticton Vees of the BCHL, which is a junior team in Canada. It's not the Western Hockey League, so it's not top competition. So his numbers are a little bit inflated at 113 points in 54 games. But he is a very, very good player and a good pick here for Columbus, who just really wants best player available at this point. He's committed to the University of Maine next season. He's an incredible shooter, but at the BCHL level, like I said, some teams might be scared away a little bit. But Columbus is the team that I could see maybe taking a big swing. At 35 for Chicago, we have Hunter Brusevich, Kitchener Rangers defenseman, right-hand shot, deceptive puck mover. And you just know he's going to be an NHLer eventually just to force people to pronounce his name correctly. I think I've done it correctly. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. He had 57 points in 68 games for Kitchener next year, or this season. I'm curious what he's going to do next year. He was committed to an NCAA team before he went to Kitchener. I can't remember who, but he uncommitted and then went to Kitchener. I think that was the right call for him. Had a very good season in Kitchener. 6 foot, so he's not a big defenseman, but he's a good puck mover, and I think Chicago just needs the best player, like I said before, and get another good defenseman here. 36 is the first goalie off the board. I have San Jose selecting Michael Hrabel. Hrabel, 6'6" Czech goalie in the Omaha Lancers this year. The USHL had a .908 save percentage, which isn't amazing, but in the U18 Czech team this year, in all 13 games he played for that team across all tournaments, he had a .927. So it gives you a little bit better, I think, kind of in the middle there is where you're looking. He's the first goalie taken off the board here. He's the biggest goalie. Doesn't move extremely well yet, but he's so big and he's strong on his feet. And San Jose needs a goalie of the future now that Benjamin Goudreau has re-entered the draft. And Michael Hrabel could be a guy. I was so close to putting him in my first round, but I'll put him here just in the beginning of the second, and you'll see a couple goalies in the second here. That's not the first one. At 37, Montreal will continue to build up its really strong defensive prospect cupboard in Oliver Bonk. 6'1", plays for the London Knights of the OHL, had 40 points in 67 games last year. He's the son of former NHLer Radek Bonk, so he's got some family lineage there. Physical shutdown defenseman who I think will play a lot of minutes at the NHL level. May not be the most highly offensive guy ever, But, Montreal may not want to take defensemen, but I think if you're going to have anything in abundance, it's going to be you want it to be good defensemen. So they have enough picks here in the first and second rounds of the draft, so I think they'll take this one at Oliver Bonk. 38, Arizona takes another defenseman off the board here, Tanner Molendyk. Molendyk, 5'11", left-hand shot defenseman playing for the Saskatoon Blades in the WHL, 37 points in 67 games, A-plus skating ability, and will add to Arizona's massive cupboard of prospects. But I think I said in the first round video, if they're lacking anything in prospects, it's good defensive prospects, and I think they'll take one of the only remaining top-end guys at 38 here. They do have a couple more picks, I think. They don't actually in this round, but they have more picks obviously later in the draft that they could use. More defensemen, more forwards. This draft is really deep. Tanner Molendyk slipped, I think, this year in a lot of people's lists, but I still think he has a lot of potential. I think in Alex's top 50 at the start of the year, he was in his first round, or he would have been. So yeah, that kind of shows you how good this year is for a guy like this to be taken all the way down to 38. Buffalo picks here at 39. This was initially the Philadelphia Flyers pick. This comes from the Rasmus Ristolainen trade. And I have them taking Kalen Lind. Kalen Lind, Red Deal Rebels forward. He plays a little bit of center, but I think he's going to be a winger. I think you'd call him the rat of the draft. And it's a lost art for him. He's kind of a prick out there. He could sneak into the first round because of that, because he has a lot of skill to go with it. He had 44 points in 43 games for them this year. He's I think rat extraordinaire of the draft so far. He's definitely the best in there, so he could sneak in, but we'll see. Buffalo continues to amass every prospect imaginable, and they have a very full cupboard. 40 for Washington here, I have Caden Price. Caden Price is one of the younger players in this draft. He was an late August baby. So he's on the younger side. He's 6'1", 40 points in 65 games for the Kelowna Rockets. A lot of WHL players in this draft this year. He's responsible defenseman, skates pretty well. Doesn't have a huge offensive upside, but I think he projects as a solid top 4 guy. I think he'll play in the NHL eventually. He's too responsible and too good with containing the puck. And if he can bring up one or two other levels of his game, he could be a really solid addition for Washington in a couple years. There's another guy that I thought really highly of at the start of the year. He probably would have been in my first round had I done a mock draft in like October. But yeah, 40 here, not bad. We come now to Detroit. And Detroit has 3 straight picks here, 41, 42, and 43. So they have a lot of options, a lot of things they can do. For starters, I have them selecting Cohen Zimmer. Cohen Zimmer, 6 foot, right wing, right shot, physical shooter. Isn't a really great skater yet. Could definitely get into the first round if a team can look past that skating ability and something they can teach. But he's an incredible shooter. He had 41 goals in 68 games, 89 points. Definitely a first-round talent. It's just his skating that holds him back, I think. But I think Detroit, has they can teach him to improve his skating. And I think with these 3 picks here and the amount of picks that they have in this draft total, they'd couple in the first round. I think they have a chance to really swing on some guys. Speaking of swing on some guys, Charlie Stramel. Charlie Stramel, University of Wisconsin, 6'3", big, strong, physical centerman who can also play on the wing. He's a good straightaway player, plays a simple game. He has dropped this season. Didn't have a great year. Was considered a potential top 10 at one point this season, but just, again, didn't have a very good year. 12 points in 33 games for the University of Wisconsin. Not what you wanted to see going into the NCAA, but we can't compare everybody to Adam Fantilli and these young guys who come in guns blazing into the NCAA. It's a hard league for a lot of freshmen to compete in. I was expecting more from him, but I think there's a lot there still. And he could be, in 10 years, we might be like, how did this guy get into the second round? because he finally reached that potential. In Detroit here, this was initially the St. Louis Blues pick. This was the Nick Leddy trade is another thing I wanted to mention. And for their final, or not final, but final of this three, I have them taking Theo Lindstein. Lindstein's Swedish defenseman. Theo Lindstein, 6-foot left shot defenseman, plays in Brynäs, the SHL. 2 points in 32 games. Not the highest point total, but he had 7 points in 14 in the J20 leagues. More what you're going to see from this guy. He's another solid, smooth skating guy. If he put up more points in the SHL and put up more production, he'd be a first rounder. But Detroit, Swedish defenseman, why not? This was the trade they got from the Hronek trade. So fitting, I guess they replaced him with a defenseman. Why not? The Chicago Blackhawks are going to be busy. I think I had them take Connor Bedard. I had them take Simashev, and they could potentially walk out of here with the best forward, the best defenseman, and potentially the best goalie, I think, in Trey Augustine. Trey Augustine, 6'1", he doesn't get enough recognition because of his size, but he's so athletic. He's committed to the Michigan State University team next year. It's another team that's in desperate need of a goalie of the future. I think Trey Augustine could do that. And adding him with, they also have fellow U.S. National Team Development Program, Drew Camaso. Could be a fun tandem. A couple American national team buddies. Could be fun to see that. In the 33 games for the national team, he had a .926 save percentage and was 29-1-2. He had, just an insane record. But yeah, we'll see what he's like in the NCAA next year. And Chicago could really they might have added the best forward, defenseman, and goalie if they go this route, and if those guys fall to him, because that'd be quite the draft for Chicago. Buffalo Sabres have another pick here at 45. I have them selecting William Whitelaw. William Whitelaw is a small forward from the University of Wisconsin of the NCAA, or that's where he'll play next year. But last year, he had 61 points in 62 games for the Youngstown Phantoms of the USHL. So we'll see what he's like at the NCAA level. It'll be fun to watch that. The skill is there, I think, but if teams can look past his 5'9" frame, I think he'll be very happy with this pick here. I don't love him personally. There's a mock draft, not a rankings, so I would probably have him a little lower personally, but I see why people like this player. And yeah, one of the better names in the draft too. Got to mention that. 46 here for Nashville with back-to-back 46 and 7. I have them selecting Oscar Fisker Molngard. 6 foot, 163-pound left shot centerman. In his SHL team, he had 7 points in 41 games, 23 points in 21 games for the J20 team. Again, it's hard to look just at the stats when you're looking at European players because they do play in professional leagues. Doesn't leap off the page at you, this guy, but he's a good skater, and he played really well for Team Denmark, I think, at the World Championships this year, even though he didn't score at that tournament. He played in all 10 games. And I think he held his own. And this Nashville pick I want to mention too is from the Pittsburgh Penguins originally, from the Granlund trade. Yeah, I just think it's a good Nashville pick, and might not be flashy. And I know they'll want to be a little flashy considering the draft is in Nashville, but I think this would be the best pick for them here. 47 back-to-back here for Nashville. I have Maxim Strbak. Strbak, 6'2", right shot defenseman. He's committed to the Michigan State University team for next year. So that'll be fun seeing a Slovakian player in the NCAA. He was overseas, over in North America this season. 18 points in 46 games for the Sioux Falls Stampede of the USHL. He was -20. I want to point that out. I don't love the plus-minus stat, but he was -20. So maybe the transition was a little rough for him. He's decent in his own net, and he's good at transition defense. But again, Nashville's a defenseman factory. If anyone can figure out how to reach this kid's potential, it's Nashville. Continuing to rip through this here now at 48, I have Bo Aki of the Barrie Colts of the OHL, 6 foot, right shot defenseman. Good edge work, could be a solid mobile defenseman at the next level. Be interesting to see if he can take what his game now into the pros in a few years. Interesting to see, but I didn't mind him. I actually watched him play live once this year. Didn't hate him. I thought he was a decent player. He's got decent footwork. Yeah, he's good at boxing out as well. For a guy who's only 6 foot, he's good in front of his own net. I thought that was something to note too. 47 points in 66 games for the Barrie Colts this year. Interesting to see what he does next year. At 49, the New York Islanders, I will have them take Nick Lardis off the board. Nick Lardis, Hamilton Bulldogs, right winger, 5'11", finds a way to beat goaltenders with a very, very good shot. 25 goals in 33 games with Hamilton to end his regular season in the OHL. 40-plus goals in the OHL is not unreasonable, I don't think, for him next year. That's what he should be shooting for. He's got a good enough shot to do it. And Islanders could pick a very good offensive weapon here on the wing at 49. I have Seattle here next at number 50, taking Carlsson. 6'1", center winger from the Kitchener Rangers of the OHL. 59 points in 68 games for them this year. I lost my place again. A solid forward, high floor and lower ceiling. He's a safe pick, I think, here for Seattle, who has actually a few picks in the second round. They have another one down at 52 and then at 57. So maybe they could package a couple of those and move up in the draft. You might see a little bit of movement there for Seattle. But I think here at 50, Carlsson is a guy you'd want safe pick in the second round. This trade initially, Winnipeg's, I think, jumped around a couple trades from Vanacek's trade, from Dylan's trade, I think, was originally from Seattle, or Winnipeg to Washington and Washington to Seattle, I think is what happened to this pick. Chicago at 61, another pick for them. I have them taking David Enstrom. Enstrom is a 6'3" centerman. This is originally from the Tampa Bay Lightning. This was the Ryan Johnson Seabrook kind of cap dump pick that Chicago got. He had an excellent U18 tournament this season, put him more on the map for a lot of scouts. He's a sneaky pick. I think some teams might not think about him until much, much later, but I do think he has some upside in the second round. 4 points in 11 games for the SHL for Lunda team, and 28 points in 28 games for the J20 team this year. So he's got some offense in him, and I think he could be a sneaky pick for a team like Chicago to pick with their abundance of prospects they're going to get in this draft. Take a guy like that every day. 52, the Seattle Kraken. I have taken my boy, Cameron Allen. Now, I want to talk about Cameron Allen for a second. Had a abysmal season, I think, with the Guelph Storm. He's 5'11", right shot defenseman. We've told stories on this channel when we went to scout the Guelph players for a Guelph Storm game last season for the 2022 draft. We had our list of guys to watch, and all of a sudden we're sitting there like, wait, who's that guy? He's not on our list. And we had to Google and find out who he was. Turns out he was a draft -1 guy in Cameron Allen. He was outplaying guys on his team 2-3 years older than him, and he was their best defenseman at the time, not named Daniil Chaika. Guelph had a messy year this year, a little all over the place, and Allen didn't quite play as good as he did as an underager with more minutes. So if he steps up this year in his draft plus 1 year, I think he will. This could be a seriously good pick for any team in the second round. I would take a chance on him. He was too good, guys, in his -1 year to have no potential in the NHL. I think he's a good transition player. He's good in his own end. He can run a power play, I think. He played for the Canadians at the U18s. He was their captain. He had 4 points in 7 games there. He only had 25 points in 62 games for Guelph this year after 37 and 65 last year for them. So kind of shows you the drop-off. I had him at number 12 in my rankings at the start of the year because I was so high on him. Probably a little higher than I should have because of my bias for him. But Seattle, hopefully, will take him. I like the Seattle Kraken and what they're doing over there. Cameron Allen to the Kraken. The Minnesota Wild at 53. Another American, Danny Nelson. 6'3" forward, plays all three forward positions. U.S. National Team Development Program this year. He had 47 points in 62 games. He's committed to the University of Notre Dame next season. So we'll see how he does in the NCAA level next year. Had a great season to end the year to put himself in contention for the second round. I think otherwise you'd see him more in the third or fourth. But I like the end of his year. And Minnesota, I think he fits well in Minnesota, being an American player. Why not take a chance on a guy like that? Los Angeles Kings. I have them taking Luca Pinelli. And I don't really have anything to back up this prediction. He had 63 games in 67 games, other than the fact that LA took his brother, Francesco Pinelli, last year, I think. So, or 2021, sorry. It was 2021, second round, 42nd overall. They took him. His brother, I think, is a little better than Luca Pinelli, but why not? Why not bring the brothers to town? That'd be fun. So I have them taking Luca Pinelli here. At 55, we have another pick for Chicago. I have them taking Noah Dower-Nilsson. This was a pick from the New York Rangers in the Patrick Kane trade. This is a centerman from Frölunda, the SHL. He scored at a very high rate in the J20 league and tracks fairly well, I think, to make the jump into the SHL next season. Chicago has a lot of bullets, so why not, really shoot on a guy who could be very, very good. He had 54 points in 37 games for the J20 national team for Frölunda. Only played 3 games in the SHL. Hopefully he gets a little bit more time in the pros next year to really show what he's got. Chicago, why not? Edmonton at 56, Alex Chirnik. Chirnik, another Slovakian. Very good amount of prospects coming from that country recently. Kind of an in-between season this year. He's not quite ready for the men's league. He was too good for juniors. It'd be interesting to see how he progresses in his league next year. He was playing in the SHL for Södertälje. Sorry if I messed that up. In the Allsvenskan League. He had 21 points in 18 games in J20s and was a little out of place in 2 teams. Actually was on loan, played 25 games at roughly 12 points in Hockey Allsvenskan League last year, but he had 3 points in 5 games in the World Juniors, first team Slovakia. I thought he was pretty good on that Slovakian team who made a little bit of a run and scared Canada there. I thought he was a great player in that tournament, and Edmonton could really use some good skilled players, some good skilled wingers to complement obviously McDavid and Draisaitl on that team, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Very good center depth, needs some good wingers. It's a good one. 57, the Seattle Kraken pick again, and I'll have them take Felix Nielsen. This is the pick they got from the Toronto Maple Leafs in the Mark Giordano trade. He's a hard-working offensive player and has some great upside, I think, for a second rounder. He's kind of your prototypical second-round pick. He's got some skill. He's got some work ethic. He's got a little bit of everything. He's a pretty safe pick here, I think, for them. In Rogla, he had 41 points in 36 games for the J20 team. Another good Swede, another good Swedish center. I had them taking Rekhoff and Allen, so I think they're getting a good mix here in the second round. They have a lot more picks coming, but in this mock draft, they're done, so I think that's a pretty good haul for that team. The New Jersey Devils. I have selecting, I think this is their first pick in this draft. It'll be Denver Barkey, 5'9" London Knights centerman. I watched him live once or twice this season. I wasn't all that impressed, but he does for sure have a motor that doesn't stop. He's a slight frame that gets knocked off the puck a little too much for me. I'm taking him here because the consensus doesn't agree with me. They have him a lot higher in a lot of the boards I'm seeing. He had 59 points in 61 games for London Knights and 24 points in 20 playoff games for them. So maybe I should have watched his playoff games a little closer than I did. Obviously performed well there. So yeah, I think this is another example of this is a mock draft, not a rankings. So I think they'll take their chance on Barkey here. At 59, the Ducks pick one of their two back-to-back picks here, 59 and 60. I have them taking the third goalie off the board, Carlsson Bjarnason, 6'3" Canadian goalie. I might be in the minority here. I would pick Scott Ratzlaff over Carlsson Bjarnason. I know, I'm sorry, shoot me. But as far as goalies go, I think Ratzlaff has a little bit more upside. He's just not as big. So Bjarnason gets the edge. But he had a great season, and I'm not going to take anything away from him. Brendan Wheat King's goalie. He only had 900 save percentage. And minus 1 year, it's not too bad in the WHL. He was 21, 19, and 5 in 47 games. Did not play well in the U18s. I'm waiting to see something really good from this kid. He's got abilities to do it. And I think Anaheim could, they have back-to-back hit picks here, and I think they need another goalie for the future. Why not have it here for Bjarnason or any of the other goalies left, Guyan or Ratzlaff or any of the other guys? I think they'll pick a goalie here, but mock draft-wise, we'll take Bjarnason out of the pool. 460, Luca Cagnoni. This was I should mention, the 59 was originally the Colorado Avalanche's pick from the, I forget which trade it was, but they got it from Colorado. And this pick was the Lindholm trade from Boston Bruins originally. Luca Cagnoni, 5'9" defenseman, another small defenseman. I don't love that, but he's 183 pounds. He's got some size to him. If he's not, the biggest guy, he's got some size. It's 67 games in WHL, 64 points. Pretty good edge. He doesn't play as small as his listed size is. He's one of those guys. Controls the game very well. Rarely takes any poor shots. Doesn't like shoot the puck into people's feet. I notice he's very good at missing blocks. Walking that line. I don't know what his upside is at the next level necessarily. But I think Anaheim here, not a bad pick here out of Portland. The Dallas Stars. If you've been following the channel for a couple years with these drafts, you know that the Dallas Stars generally take the players that I'm really high on. And it's happening again. This year I have them taking Matthew Cataford, right winger from the Halifax Mooseheads of the QMJHL. He's a 5'11", 187 pound winger. I just like his all-around game. And like I said, Dallas has a crazy track record of taking my favorite second rounders. Logan Stankoven, I had him in my first round last year, pretty high. Or 2 years ago, he was pretty high. This will be another one of the same. 75 points, 31 goals, and 68 games for the Halifax Mooseheads. Yeah, I just really like this player. He's just really solid. He screams NHLer to me. And Dallas is going to do it again to me. 62. Almost done here. Roman Kantsarov, 5'9", small forward. He's a secondary scorer, I think, could complement an offense well. The Russian factor, of course, makes him a question mark as to draft positioning, but I think the Hurricanes could take a chance on him. The MHL this year, that's the junior leagues of the KHL, 54 points in 45 games out there for Lizny Magnitogorsk. 63 starts to get into guys that I just want to start taking flyers on, and Jesse Nurmi is that guy. 5'11" left winger for Cuckoo of Liga. Liga in the Pro League had 1.9 games, but he had 50 points in the U20 leagues, playing with his similar age group. I don't know, man. There's a sneaky off-the-board kind of pick for me at the second end of my mock draft. Produces a ton of points in the U20 league. Like I said, he's good skills. He lacks some secondary tools, I think, but a dark horse here on the draft, I think a team like Florida could take a chance on this guy. And I could see him dropping into, honestly, the fourth round, maybe further, depending on how much teams like him. Kind of an off-the-board pick, but I just have a feeling about him here at 63 for Florida. And that finally leaves Minnesota's pick for Lini Hami. I'm going to butcher this name, man. Hamineho. Lini Hamineho. I'm bad with names, but I don't think that's too bad. This was originally Vegas's pick. This is from the Greenway trade, from the Eichel trade. He's got incredible hockey IQ, sense on the ice, but his skating is a huge question mark. I think that's going to hold him back. Most likely slips into the 3rd or 4th round, but I think he's on the borderline as a 2nd-round pick, and I'll take him here because I want to highlight this player a little bit. 21 points in 51 games in Liga this season in the Pro League, so he played with the pros this year, which I think tells you a lot about what that team thinks of him. And at the U20 level for international competition, he had 5 points in 13 games, 2 points in 5 games for Finland. At the World Juniors this year, I didn't love him at the World Juniors, but I think he played better in the second half for Assat in Liga. But that's it. That is all for this mock draft season. Let me know what you think. Let me know who I missed. I'm sure I missed somebody. All my lists are all jumbled up throughout the year. I try to to be kind of fair where I think guys are gonna go and not be too biased. I was, a couple times I took a guy or two that I thought would have been a flyer that I liked. But yeah, let me know what you think. Come hang out with us. 1st round and 2nd round will be streaming on this channel, Alex and I, on Wednesday and Thursday this week. Let me know what you thought. Like I said, leave a like if you did. Peace.